Good morning. Welcome to the lecture 7 of Safety and Risk Analytics. Today we will continue hazard and risk data, what we have discussed in lecture 6, and this is under module 2, creation of safety database. In half an hour we will describe prevention through design and redesign, entropy risk model, birth of safety analytics, process model for risk control systems performance monitoring, leading and lagging indicators. Prevention through design is a concept which is very well known and understood in the engineering community. This is basically thinking of a product starting from the business concept. When the idea is generated that okay, there will be a product or a process. So during that kind of idea generation, we require to know also that what are the safety and risk related issues that the product as well as the process will experience in the entire life cycle. Like if the product life cycle or process life cycle, you require to understand each of the component of the life cycle, whether it is a product or process. The components are, as I told you, that business concept followed by the requirement analysis, then design, then build and commissioning, then useful production and operation times, and during that time to maintain the required amount of production and satisfactory operation, you require to maintain the product or the process or any other kind of facilities what you have created for some purposeful functioning. And then finally decomposition, or I can say decommissioning, or you can say disposal of the system, be it a product or a process. When you are thinking from prevention through design, at least at the design stage, you have to understand that what are the different kinds of hazards, what are the different kind of incidents that can take place during build and commissioning or construction, during operation and maintenance, and during decommissioning or disposal. If we are not able to understand the hazards as well as the risk as well as the resulting incidents, that is what going to be experienced by the stakeholders, then we are basically designing a system, be it a product or a process, which is not safe or which is not designed to be safe. So that is what you have to understand here. So you understand the hazard, risk, incident path, risk control system, all those things when you are conceptualizing the system as well as designing the system. During design, those hazard, risk and incident should get a place, and accordingly that safety by design, that concept should be incorporated. If we follow that path, that prevention through design, or some also many times it's a redesign also, then what will happen, you will find out that the ease of intervention in terms of implementation is manifold. At the same time, your cost of intervention implementation will be much less. But if we do not consider those hazard and related design, safety design aspects at the beginning, what will happen? The residual risk or inherited risk of the system will be much more. And finally, in order to have that is safe operation or safe production, you have to do lot of retrofitting in terms of safety measures, in terms of safety interventions, whether it is engineering or administrative. So, and that approach, what it will basically do, it will not only increase the cost of intervention implementation, at the same time it will basically reduce the ease of implementation. So if we do not follow prevention through design and redesign, cost of for safety is much more. So that this concept is basically very well understood, and in the source like Christensen and Manuel 1990 Safety Through Design book, they have explained elaborately. Now, the another important concept is which is called entropy risk. Basically, even if you follow the prevention through design approach and accordingly you understood the hazards, you computed the risk, and you have I can say designed the risk control system, but as I told you earlier also, so none of the things are 100% failure free. So there is a possibility, even if at the probability is very much less, very negligible, there is a possibility of something happening wrong. And that wrong things, what actually happen for the different system items. For example, if you consider any system, be it a machine, be it a facility, be it a plant, you will find out that one is you are using certain technology, and then there are physical environment, and then certain process and operating procedures you are following, and obviously competent human resources are working there. But what will happen as time passes, the wear and tear of all the system components take place. So this wear and tear introduced another kind of risk into the system, which is known as entropy risk. So as a result, what I mean to say, that for any system when it is designed, there will be two kinds of risk. Risk will be two kinds. One is inherent risk, which is basically because of design problem or design deficiency, and second one is your entropy risk, which is introduced because of wear and tear of the system components. So this concept, Tanya Moll in 2003 book Productive Safety Management, she has explained this. So what actually the concept? The concept is that for any system there will be several components. Usually we understand component in terms of technology. Under technology, equipment, machine, software, all are coming together. Then physical environment, basically the physical facility where the work will be going on. Then some people will be doing the work, and process and work processes, these are nothing but related to all the operating procedure and as well as the organizational procedure, all those things come together. So we need to revisit all those things time to time, so that the health of all those components will not deteriorate to a level when an accident or the risk will be of such a limit, the accident will take place. The concept is given here. You see that at the you go through x-axis and you are getting a simple that kind of bar. This is this with this length, this one. So like here, you are starting from here. This is basically residual risk or inherited risk, which is introduced into the system by design. So this portion is residual risk. Now, as the system component deteriorates over time, the entropy risk started introduced, and ultimately the entropy risk will increase, and after certain level after certain time what will happen, maybe the risk level is this much. If I say this is the risk axis, and this risk level is a point where at that particular time some accident or undesired incident will take place. Once the incident will take place at this point in time, so corrective measures with reference to improvement of the system components started. And see, if you see the dotted line, these are basically declined. So that means the value of their performance or ability is reducing, and as a result, risk is also increasing. And at this level, accident takes place. You take corrective action. Again, all the component performance level increasing, and your risk is also decreasing. So now the entropy risk at this point is the highest, and at that point the risk level goes beyond the intolerable zone, and something undesired is likely to happen. After corrective actions and maintenance, risk level goes down or comes down, but it will not go to the point of origin, where this point, because of this corrective action and maintenance, so some amount of risk are further induced into the system, because your none of the maintenance or corrective action will be so much foolproof that unless you go for complete redesign, so that it will the risk level will come down to the original designed risk level. So a certain amount of risk is now entropy risk will be converted into residual risk, and your residual risk, total risk, what you actually work with, now it increases to this level. So fine, so that means the optimum safety level is now this much. So your system will perform again well, and you continue, and but at the same time, after certain time, what will happen? By natural process, the entropy risk again started increasing. And if you are not vigilant enough, what will happen? Again, maybe the entropy risk reaches to the threshold level, and beyond the threshold, it will again cause certain undesired events. So this is a concept called basically entropy risk model. In nutshell, please understand that inherent risk or residual risk by design, that is the risk we have to work with. But rest of the risk, what actually over time is introduced, called entropy risk. So this is because of the deterioration of the system component, where we have lot of things to do. What you have to do? You have to have proper safety related interventions by design, and that design may be engineering interventions or administrative interventions, like all the risk control systems, and those should be active and working properly. And then what will happen? The total risk in the system will not go beyond that level when an undesired event will occur. So it is quite likely that sometimes we may not be able to avoid this, but at least the consequence part we can think of also at the same time, that okay, maybe the probability of the incident is very, very low, but when it occurs, so the consequence or impact should be negligible. That is another issue that also to be looked into. Now that means, see, the data is coming from what data is coming. So you have to monitor the health of the system components. So when you are monitoring the health of the system components, you cannot monitor arbitrarily, okay, whether suddenly you come and do. No, you have to have certain indicators. Those indicators, like all the system component related risk control systems, that and related indicators you have to have. And these are basically nothing but leading and lagging indicators. We will be discussing little later. So that's why what I mean to say that this model, from this kind of concepts, you are also understanding more about risk and what kind of data you require. If you see that maintenance play a big role, and as I told you that maintenance must be taken into consideration, and while collecting data for safety database, don't ignore maintenance part. Maintenance logs, they give lot of good information about safety. Okay. So you cannot also ignore the human component. You cannot ignore the process technology component as well as the surrounding environment, all those things you cannot ignore. You have to have proper kind of mechanisms by which the necessary data can be captured. So that means these concepts basically these concepts give you an idea that where from the safety related data you can get, and that is the sole purpose. These are the all safety engineering concepts I am bringing here to tell you that where from you will get data. So whatever we have discussed so far, in fact starting from my first lecture to now, I have jotted down in one slide. I said that you have to work with this one. What I mean to say, you have to work with hazards. Then hazard triangle concept is very important. I also said that hazard triangle has certain components. You should not concentrate on only one component of the triangle. You have to consider all the components of the hazard triangle. At the same time, I told to you that you should not forget the domain ontology, safety domain ontology, and the entity relationships which are primarily coming from the hazard triangle. So how they are related, that to be understood at the minimum basic level. And then from the safety domain ontology, you will be getting the incident paths. For a particular hazardous element, there could be more than one incident paths. So you have to understand the incident paths. So then you have to understand that how to tackle with the incident paths, in the sense you don't want incidents will occur. So that means prevention of incident. You also don't want, even if incident occur, that consequence should be minimal. So that means mitigation also important part. So prevention of incident or accident and mitigation of the effect, these are the important aspects of safety engineering. So now, in order to get it or to fulfill the objective, you are basically introducing risk control system. So the risk control system, preventive and mitigative risk control system. Now the incident paths is basically from the Swiss cheese model point of view. That means the risk control systems by design has certain loopholes. When all the loopholes are aligned together on a particular point on time, so that means the accident path is generated. So your risk control system should be designed, operated, maintained, evaluated and monitored in such a manner that the incident path will not be possible, or I can say that all the lacunas of each of the risk control systems should not get aligned, so that accident or incident will take place. Okay, so that is the part. Now What more is I talked about? I said that for every risk control system, like the 9 risk control system what we have given here: inspection and maintenance, staff competence, operating procedures, instrumentation and alarm, plant change, communication, permit to work, plant design, and emergency arrangement. So these are the important risk control systems. So you have to have proper indicators for their effectiveness and weakness. When you are talking about effectiveness of risk control system, that is basically effectiveness is measured through leading indicators. So here I should write effectiveness. So effectiveness is measured through leading indicators. These are leading indicators. Okay, leading indicators. But even if you are 100% vigilant, doing much good things, but there is a possibility that sometimes what will happen, risk control system will not perform as designed to perform. So those things are coming under lagging indicators. So some weakness is introduced, maybe by design or maybe because of poor maintenance, poor operation, or poor monitoring or evaluation of the risk control system. Some weakness are introduced, and those weakness ultimately are measured in terms of lagging indicators. So that means what are the different kinds of data you have? You have hazard data, you have that incident data, that means incident or accident data, you have risk control related information, you have leading and lagging indicators, and at the same time you from the process or product life cycle point of view, from the design to disposals, so in the different phases you are basically generating data. So if you combine or compile all those data, you are having a huge amount of data. How do you get the data and what kind of technologies you will use to gather the data, that already I have explained in some of the previous lectures. So all things coming together, you are now in the data, I can say in the sea of data, ocean of data. If you can generate this kind of data, then the issue is that you can use analytics. That is basically the crux of the matter I wanted to tell you. If you cannot develop this database, then you cannot use analytics. In order to use analytics, you have to have good amount of data. Today, our requirement is, please understand, we are basically looking for data-driven safety management system. And if you take the example of quality movement, which basically in the 20th century, enormous quality improvement has taken place because of many stalwarts across the world. They worked. One of them is D.W. Deming. What D.W. Deming said from the quality improvement point of view: we believe in God, other must bring data. So this 21st century, safety practitioners, safety engineers, safety researchers, all the stakeholders who are basically interested or working for the improvement of safety, they must talk in this line that we believe in God, but all other must bring data, means all decisions, why can't it be data driven? This is so if we can make it happening, then I say this is the birth of safety and risk analytics. Okay, so I hope that I have given you some motivation related to this particular subject, and you all understand that somewhere we have to start, and gradually the subject will evolve and a lot of development will take place. Many people will come together, join hand, and with the collective effort, one day I am telling you, like quality improvement, the safety improvement also will get the similar success. Now I give you the issue of that when we talk about risk control system and leading and lagging indicators, please understand that how do you generate leading and lagging indicators for this control system. So, in order to generate leading and lagging indicators, you just think of the process model concept. This process model concept is very much prominent in the quality domain and in the business domain also. Process means it takes certain inputs and convert it into value added outputs. That is the process. What is the process? It takes certain inputs, convert it into value added outputs, and ultimately the process, the transformation or conversion takes place because you have certain controllable actions. But at the same time, you cannot control many things which are uncontrollable. So the same principle can be applied here in the safety domain. So what I am trying to tell you here, that the every risk control system you consider as a process. Means the risk control system is not only a hardware or a software or a humanware or some kind of written document. No, risk control system means starting from design of risk control system to its operational functioning as well as evaluation monitoring. This is the entire process. So if you fail to execute RCS as if a risk control system as a process is there, then you will not get the desired results. Now, then if this is the concept, then the elements are basically, as I told you, the elements are, one is input. Every risk control system, even if it is operating procedure, so what is the inputs? Basically, you have to know each of the job or each of the operations, how the job should be done, the stepwise, all the steps, everything. So the contents of the different the procedures you have developed, these are all inputs kind of things. Now controllable factors will be there. Basically, as I told you, that risk control system to be effective, you have to be vigilant and you have to do a lot of activities and you have to take a lot of actions. So which are under your control, that is coming under controllable factors. We will discuss little bit later of this. Uncontrollable means some things on the when in the real operation, real work, you will not be able to control. For example, working at height, if it is the required one, so the you have to use certain kind of scaffold, and from the stability point of view, whatever amount of stability the worker is going to enjoy, that may not be the optimum stability in comparison when the person is working at the floor. So that kind of things you have to, or someone who is working in a little hot and humid environment, so there also that hot and humidity, that is basically the as per the job requirement or as per the environment concern, it is there, you may not have the control. So sometimes you cannot control some of the factors, but you have to keep in mind that under such situations also your controllable factors will be such that the effect of all those uncontrollable issues or factors will be negligible. That's why we are saying noise. Now, whatever inputs and controllable factors are there for a particular risk control system, like plant design, operating procedure, instrumentation and alarm, whatever may be, these basically talks about the success of the risk control system. And whatever talks about the success or increases the effectiveness or maintain the designed effectiveness of the risk control system, these are basically giving you leading indicators. Now, outcome is actually basically when I am saying that operating procedure is a risk control system, so what will be the outcome? You don't want anyone will violate the operating procedure, or for all the jobs the operating procedures must be available. So then if you are fallible in from inputs and controllable factors point of view, then what will happen in the output? You will not get the desired safety outcomes. Like everybody is following the SOP, or for every job SOP is available. This kind of things. So ultimately, outcome or output actually gives you the lagging indicators. The weakness part will comes from the when you monitor that what is the performance of this risk control system, and effectiveness will come. What are you doing? What activities you are doing? What actions you are taking, and at different levels. So those basically will talks about leading indicators or effectiveness indicators. So you have to follow this dual assurance, means from the leading indicators point of view things are correct, and outcome point of view also it is desired, the safety or desired safety outcome is achieved. You have to assure from both the side. You have to measure, monitor not only the lagging indicators but the leading indicators also. Performance you have to monitor. Okay. If you can think in this fashion, then what will happen ultimately, as I told you, the quality movement what the world has witnessed, similar manner the safety movement will be witnessed by the world. Only it is the question of mindset and the question of commitment and question of people coming forward and doing work. Research is very, very important in this particular domain. We have to think that how our research level will go to a newer height, where the development similar to quality engineering and management level is there. So now, if this is the issue, that what I mean to say, the lagging indicators can be values, lagging indicator values can be predicted with the help of leading indicators. And if we can do this, if I say y is my lagging indicator and x is the leading indicators, so then all input and controllable factors are x, then you can have a function like this, y equal to fx plus fxz. My question is, do you know this relationship? Is there any kind of study taken place that for suppose you have 9 risk control system, for each risk control system this kind of quantification relationship building is there? I don't know, but you have to do it. We have to do it. If we can do this, then RCS is properly characterized. You are saying I have designed RCS, but your designed RCS is meaningless unless you know this. Unless it is documented, it is properly, the relationship is built. Then actually what we don't want, desired safety outcomes means we want 100% safety. Anything less than 100% is a deviation. So that deviation we are saying delta y. Deviation from the desired safety outcomes. So we don't want delta y, we want delta y should be 0. There should not be any deviation. So how it will be possible? That what are the controllable factors? Your x is controllable. So the delta x is the issue. That means if you want to control the performance of the RCS, that means you are focusing on change in controllable factors. That is delta x. Now, that is called RCS control. Now, what is RCS optimization? Means it is hard, difficult to say that delta y will be always 0, but at least near 0, some kind of optimum value you want as minimum as possible from the deviation point of view. So in that case, you have to understand this relationship, that means how control of x or some action on x ultimately makes the desired changes in y. So that parameter is delta f by delta x. You have to work on the relationship quotient. If you, in addition, if you want to think that okay, there are noise factors and which ultimately may induce certain kind of variation or deviation will increase, so then you design the control factors. So otherwise I can say you take actions on the control factors in such a manner that the delta y will be 0 So then delta Z and delta X relationship you encash. So if you can do this, that you control the X in such a manner that Z or noise effect will be minimized, this is coming under robust design. This concept is not my concept. I have taken this from design of experiment point of view, design of experiments. This concept is available in design of experiment book written by Montgomery. This portion, the process model. This portion also I have seen in some of the lectures. Okay. So what I am basically trying to tell you, or where I am putting my emphasis. My emphasis is that you have to have some kind of scheme for data collection. You have to use some useful analytical approach like this process model and this kind of deviation approach. And at the same time, as you are having data, you must have the quantification in terms of what is the RCS characterization, what do we mean by RCS control, mean RCS should perform as designed, and what could be the optimum RCS performance, because the optimum RCS performance may tell you that how many that layers you will be there. Then the same RCS, it is not that in suppose a steel plant, maybe the coke oven operation, that operating procedure is there. So steel plant in Jamshedpur as well as steel plant in suppose Kotak or maybe steel plant in South India, in different places it will be used. There the people are different, little bit difference is there. So the set of procedure that should work in all the places. So what you will do, so that means it will work irrespective of the location or the environment changes. So that robust design concept is coming into consideration. These are very, very useful concept I have borrowed from the quality engineering domain. Now I will discuss maybe another 5 minutes of time related to that. If I know RCS, what is my leading and lagging indicators? I have given some indication. From the process model, I have already said that process or input indicators are basically leading indicators. So means the controllable factors and inputs. Process means basically what are the activities, actions or the related to that particular RCS. So process or inputs are the important actions or activities within the RCS that are necessary to deliver the desired safety outcomes. Getting me? Necessary for desired safety outcomes. And then what is the indicator? What is the desired safety outcome? Desired safety outcome is the condition that the RCS is designed to deliver. I will give you one example. If RCS operating procedure is the RCS, then what is the desired safety outcome? That means you implement RCS operating procedure in such a manner that each and every people will follow this, and each and every job has available amount of that procedures means has the procedures available, adequate procedures available. Getting me? Now, so in order to have this, what process and input indicators required, means what activities and actions you have to do, that you have to identify. That is the first part. I will give you one example after this slide. And then for the lagging indicators, we say the outcome indicators. In the process model I explained. Here the outcome or lagging indicator is the condition when the RCS is failed to deliver the desired design safety outcomes. No deviation. That is the desired safety outcome. But your system is your RCS is failed to deliver this. Here I have done little modification over the lagging indicator definition given by that HSE 2000, Health and Safety Education 2006. There they say that the outcome indicator is the condition when RCS basically give the desired safety outcomes, but it is something like binary thing. So if RCA is giving desired outcomes and RCA is not giving desired safety outcomes, then this is the total space is complete. Desired outcomes plus undesired one is this is the total, that one. So as in the safety domain, safety and risk domain, the undesired part are easy to understand and capture. So this change I made, but there is no hard and fast rule that the way the change I made you have to follow. You may follow HSC 2006 the way they have defined. Ultimately, whatever way you define these lagging indicators, but ultimately there should be a set of useful lagging indicators. At the same time, you must have a set of useful leading indicators, and then you just see with reference to the indicators for a particular RCS, then you have to see that the adverse findings, what is happening, and rectify them. Then the safety management system will say that data driven and continuously adaptive towards improvement. Okay, it is some kind of intelligence is there in the safety management. Then regularly review performance against all indicators, check the effectiveness and suitability of the indicators. So when you start developing the leading and lagging indicators for the RCS, it's a huge task. It's not at all a easy thing, and it is easy to tell like the way I am telling, but it is extremely difficult to find out the adequate number of leading and lagging indicators, as well as what is the quality of each of the indicators. It is very difficult. Only a team can develop this, but again, after developing, you have to monitor and you see that whether the indicators are actually giving you the desired results from the measurement and evaluation point of view, what we have thought of. If not, you have to review the indicators. You may require to change the indicators. So that is basically regularly review the performance and suitability of the indicators, you understand. Okay. A very important concept. It is given by HSE, and I think that this help us in doing safety and risk analytics in a much better manner. Some examples with reference to the leading and lagging indicators. Again, this is mostly taken from the HSE 2006. Maybe some places we have modified little bit, but that modification is very minimal. For example, I will explain only one concept, but other RCS case it is similar. We have given only one example. It is not that for suppose the instrumentation and alarm. This is a RCS, risk control system. So what is the leading indicator? We are writing percentage of maintenance actions to rectify faults of safety critical instrument and alarm completed to schedule. Okay, so the risk control system, as I said, this is a system, either hardware or software or humanware. So it also goes under the natural wear and tear kind of thing. So it requires its maintenance. So percentage of maintenance to rectify the safety faults of the safety critical instrument and alarms completed on schedule. That is, a schedule is there. So first you must have the schedule. Then on schedule you have to complete all those maintenance sections. So that means this, if we do, it will increase the effectiveness of the instrumentation and alarm, and that's why this is one of the indicators. Similarly, you can find out many more indicators, leading indicators related to instrumentation alarm. If you consider the lagging indicators, we are writing number of safety critical instrument and alarm failed to operate as designed. So why it has happened? Basically, it's a question of that failure of the instrumentation and alarm system, and it has happened maybe because of some of the leading actions are not done correctly. but this gives you the performance of the risk control system. So it is undesired safety performance point permanent, but this is something which talks about the weakness of the risk control system. Here it is instrumentation and alarm. So you have to understand. Similarly for others, I can talk about another one, communication. Rest you please go through and you understand. Suppose communication, percentage of job site toolbox safety meetings held on schedule. The number of times the changes in operating procedure are not communicated. This is the lagging indicators. If there is some changes, maybe in the operating procedure or maybe in the plant somewhere or maybe some subsystem or some component, so it should be communicated to the stakeholder properly, otherwise they will not know. So if it doesn't happen, then the communication as a risk control system is a failure. So this is the way you have to understand risk control system. At the same time, I will tell you, so for each of the 9 risk control systems, using the HSE 2006 documents, developing leading and lagging indicators, I have presented this with one indicators from the leading and from the lagging point of view for each of the RCS. That HSE has given many more indicators for each of the RCS. Please go through, and if it doesn't suit to your plant or your system, you understand the concept and use this concept for developing the leading and lagging indicators for all the RCS or risk control systems what is already in place in your system or in your plant. If some of the risk control systems are not there, you bring those risk control system. For the existing risk control system, if leading and lagging indicator are not understood, must have a team, and that team should do it. IIT Kharagpur is helping industries in developing leading and lagging indicators for different kinds of plants. So if you have the leading and lagging indicators, then the table what I have given related to RCS, so there for under each RCS, so there will be several indicators that will be added to the safety data table. So then what have you learned so far in this lecture? You have learned what is prevention through design. You have learned what does it mean by entropy risk and what is entropy risk model. Then what is safety analytics and what are leading and lagging indicators, and the usefulness of leading and lagging indicators. So what do we mean by effective control and implementation of risk control system? I have given you 4 important parts from the quality domain, that risk control system or RCS characterization, RCS control, RCS optimization and robust design. I hope that you enjoyed the lecture, and in the similar manner we want to continue for the future lectures, and these are the references. And I am again happy to tell you that because of one of the important project that safety analytics people at work, which IIT Kharagpur has done with the support from ministry and some industry, that basically help us a lot in making the course content as well as the lecture materials for this particular subject. Thank you so much for your patience and kind hearing.